Cents Per Mile, featuring Charles Gracie, Paul Gibson, and Josh Haynes. Everyone knows the trucking industry has issues, but most people are afraid to talk about it.
Someone's got to do it.
With loads of recruiting and marketing experience and backed by the largest driver audience in the world, we deliver carriers the driver perspective, find solutions, and help make sense make sense.
Welcome to Cents Per Mile. I'm your host, Charles Gracie.
And I'm your co-host, Paul Gibson.
Hey, I'm Josh Haynes. Guys, what are we talking about today?
The trucking tango.
The trucking tango. I don't dance.
Yeah. We know. I've seen you try. But we're talking about maximizing your conference experience. You know, it's conference season. You got a lot of exciting things that are on the cusp of happening between UCONNECT with Tenstreet, MATS. You got the Broker Carrier Summit. We got a lot to talk about, but none of it matters if you don't go there and do it right.
That's true. I mean, you know, you can get a lot out of conferences and networking. Literally, this podcast started from a conference. I was outside and Charles was there and he was like, "Hey, I'm Charles." I was like, "Oh, I'm Paul." And he's like, I was like, "What do you do?" And he's like, "I'm a third-party recruiter." I was like, "Oh, you're literally the worst." And then he described himself to me and his motivations. And I was like, "All right, I guess you're okay." And that's if you do it right, you could have a podcast if you conference right. That's the whole episode. That's the gist of it.
Yeah, I mean, but there's more. So, Paul, why don't you lead into the rest of the beginning of the show stuff? Oh,
yeah, the usual stuff. So you can find us on Amazon Music. You can find us on Apple Music. You can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Reach Across America Radio, YouTube, anywhere that you get podcasts. And if you could, like, subscribe, rate, whatever you do there to help push us out and get us a little bit more momentum so more people hear about the show.
You can also go to centspermilepodcast.com where you can suggest a topic to be a guest or even to become a sponsor.
Or if you can talk better, you can even submit to be a host. Hey, but no, just kidding. I love you, man. But also, wait, hold on. Sponsor? Who's our sponsor today, Charles?
We have Decker Truckline, where they're driven to be the best. Check them out at deckertruckline.com.
All right, well, it's 2025 and it's time.
I got this.
That's not any better. It's time for the news, and apparently Charles is in charge.
Yeah, Charles is in charge, and I'm reporting live. I'm scanning the news on CDLLife.com, and we got a pileup reported on I-35, a wild commercial truck crash on the Houston roadway, flatbed gives out underway to steel coils, Florida man fell off motorcycle, Texas man sent to federal prison. It's doom and gloom. It's trucking news as always. Check out CDLLife.com.
Wow, I think Charles finally hit my level when it comes to the news. So well, that is it for the news. So it's time to go behind the desk.
All right, we're behind the desk, and we got Bryon Wiebold from Tenstreet. Bryon, how we doing? Welcome to Cents Per Mile.
Good, Charles. Thanks for having us. We're glad to be here today.
It's an exciting season. It's conference season, and you guys have one of the biggest ones out there that have been going for a while. And it's in Vegas, and every time I've gone, I've left a winner. So, make that happen again.
Well, I need to hang out with you more, but that's
said nobody ever.
Conference season is on, and of course, Tenstreet's always excited for our users conference, which is UCONNECT 25 this year. And it's going to be May 7th through 10th at the beautiful Bellagio Hotel. And it's going to be a great opportunity to come and learn about Tenstreet, some of the new things we have. We just obviously released a statement about an acquisition that we have, and we're going to find out what that means, and then all of our new products. And then the attendees are going to be able to also enjoy for 90 days trials of all the new products that are being released.
That's one of the cool things coming out of it is not only do you unveil all that stuff there, but then there's the period where people get to use it, try it out, see how it works. And you did mention that acquisition. It's out of Chattanooga. It's not me. I'm sorry, folks, for the disappointment, but they are out of Chattanooga, and I'm familiar with them. I thought it was really cool and exciting. So I imagine that if this is before the conference, there's a lot more in store.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, as a leader in the industry and what we do, right, we've got to be innovative. We've got to be cutting edge. And I can just tell you, Tim Crawford, our CEO, is always looking, always got his eye out for acquisitions, but then the development of the product and really bringing in our customers and our value partners into the UCONNECT conference and giving that type of access. The meetings that we have with our customers, the one-on-one meetings, are critical to the customer. And there's never a time that a customer leaves the UCONNECT conference without learning something new, another technique, whether it's from another carrier that's using Tenstreet or from an account manager or someone inside of Tenstreet. So it always benefits them, and it's always a great time. And it's not, I mean, it's go time. I mean, I go to a lot of conferences every year, Charles, and by far, Tenstreet User Conference takes it out of me more than anything that I ever attend, because it's constant hospitality, it's constant sessions where you're being educated, it's relating to one another, and just really trying to move the companies forward into more efficiency and greater profitability.
Well, where can people sign up for this?
Well, you can go to tenstreet.com. Registration is open until April 16th. And so we've got time to still get in there, and then you'll be able to find the UCONNECT page on the tenstreet.com website. And if you have any problems, contact me, Bryon.Wiebold@tenstreet.com, and I'll make sure that you get set up.
Absolutely. Well, that sounds exciting, and look forward to seeing you guys there. It's always a fun time in Vegas. This is going to be an exciting show, but stay tuned and check out Tenstreet.
Don't miss it, man. Thanks for the time, Charles. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brad.
All right, so it's time to make sense. And we're talking to some of the coolest people from some of the coolest conferences coming up. But real quick, I wanted to point out, have you guys ever played the Florida Man game? I noticed the Florida Man fell off his motorcycle story and the thing. So there's this thing where you can type in, because Florida men have crazy things that happen like every day. So you can type in your birthday, not the year, just the day. And you get if you just type in Florida Man, and then like for me, it's August 7th. And you get a story. And so the first headline for me is, a Florida man is charged with flooding an emergency room after attacking a nurse and stripping off all of his clothes. Josh's would be, Florida man accused of using samurai sword to attack his friend. And Charles, yours would
actually
be
not that far off, by the way.
And Charles, yours would be a man got arrested after dining on spaghetti with his bare hand, shirtless, drunk in public.
None of that checks out. But since we're talking about making sense makes sense, we need to get to our expert guest and talk about how to maximize your conference season. And it's important, because you can do a conference right or you can do it wrong. And you spend enough money, or your employer or whoever spends enough money to not only bring you to these conferences, but the people that are throwing them put a lot of thought and execution into trying to bring you the best possible conference. So I'm going to kick this off. I'm bringing Toby Young from Mats on. Welcome to the show again, Toby.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's still early in the show. Reserve your judgment to the end. No, you've been doing this for a minute. How many Mats now have you done?
I think this will be my, depending if you count the COVID years or not, I'm somewhere around 24, 25 full-time, but I've worked every show since I was 13 years old.
Wow. That's a lot. And so I've attended Mats, and I've told people before, as a child, as a driver, as a company, as a vendor that's going there to do a show. I mean, I've experienced Mats from different angles, and every time you go, it's different. There's a lot, and it's constantly evolving. So tell us a little bit about how you've evolved it to help people get the most out of their conference experience.
Sure. And Mats is always evolving. We're constantly changing. The education, the events, the exhibitors change every year. This year we have over 800, so plenty to see and do. The education sessions, just really something for everyone. You talk about all the different careers you've had in trucking. There's something for everyone at our event, whether you're driver, owner-op, fleet, broker, on the maintenance side, on the manufacturing side, on the distribution side. It's just a huge networking event where we expect over 50,000 people to attend the event. So there really is something for everyone, and definitely lots of ways to make your career better, more efficient, more profitable. Anything you want to accomplish in trucking, you can do so at Matt's.
And there is something for everyone, because you brought us back, and that was a choice. You know, you had us there the last 3 years, and you brought us back and gave us a booth, and you know, we're there shouting about everything Matt's is about. You know, we're building out this huge driver experience zone. We're going to have games and giveaways. The one thing that I've always learned about Matt's, though, is you can't cover it. You can make that thing a week long, and no matter how much you walk around, you're stumbling across something new each time. There's got to be a lot of work that goes into providing that. And you kind of captured the Pro Talks, which you gave me one of those too. Choices are being made there, Toby. People are going to wonder if you know, everything's sound up there.
Don't make me regret my decisions now, Charles. But yeah, there really is something for everyone. And I think that's, you know, we've talked about this before, kind of the best advice to make the most of your conference experience for our show is to pre-plan, because it is just a 3-day show. It's hard to sandwich it all into your time at the show. You're pulled in so many different directions. You're going to run into people you know. You're going to run into opportunities. You're going to, even if you build a strict itinerary, you're going to be pulled off that path. And so I just encourage everyone to, you know, visit the Pro Talk schedule, visit the exhibitor list, visit all the events and entertainment that we have, and then have your, you know, must see and want to see lists, and then, you know, wear comfortable shoes and, you know, plan accordingly. It's a very busy show, a lot of going on, and, you know, just having that itinerary can really help you make the most of what is a relatively short 3-day event.
And that's some expert advice with the comfortable shoes. You don't think about it until you're on day 2, and especially day 3 of walking around that place. There's a lot of ground to cover. You're not wrong with getting pulled in different directions. Every year we go with an agenda because we're trying to make sure that we capture all the interviews, capture the Matt's experience, and we wind up pit stopping every like 15 minutes because there's something new that we didn't know about. So try to scope it out ahead of time is great advice. Try to plan out what's important to you and what you're going to get the most benefit out of. And definitely check out the Pro Talks, because we were exposed to that last year when we did one, and we were overwhelmed with how much people not only received the material, but enjoyed it. So I definitely am going to be an advocate for that. And we're doing one this year on the influence of social media and its impacts to trucking. Who's not going to want to know about that? And I'm not talking about the guy driving down the road looking at his Facebook. Do not do that. But so your number one advice for people is go out there, scope it out, plan out ahead, maybe start some conversations and set up some times ahead by looking at who's going to be there and where they're located.
Definitely, because a lot of the events, I mean, there's over 100 events that'll take place as part of the show, whether it's in booth, on the show floor, in the meeting rooms. And so you really do have to have an idea of where you want to go, where they're located in proximity to each other, and kind of map out a plan of travel, a plan of, you know, I'm going to take a break and catch this Pro Talk. I'm going to sit in on this meeting. And that's just the stuff that we publish. We don't really have, candidly, we're not privy to all of the exhibitor events that take place on the show floor, off the show floor. You know, you and I have talked a little bit about what you guys do outside of the show. Like it's 3 days times 24 hours of nothing but events and things to do. And there's always those, you know, really welcome interruptions where you'll run into someone or strike up a conversation or be introduced to someone, and it can be career changing. You know, Paul and Charles, you were talking about how you know, just bumped into each other, and that was a career changing interview between each other. And so I just encourage people to map out everything that you absolutely have to do, map out the things you want to do, and then have some additional time just for those lucky little bumping into this guy or being introduced to this person, because it really can change your life.
Nice. So next conference that's lined up is the Broker Carrier Summit. And we got Trey Griggs with us. Trey, I know this is one that you're passionate about. This is taking place in April in Indianapolis. I used to think it was the beginning of a bad bar joke when I first heard about it. You got brokers, you got carriers, and then somewhere in the line, someone had introduced alcohol into the mix after hours. And I'm like, oh, that's got to come with bond money. And yet here you are on your multiple one in Indy again.
Yeah, well, we felt the same way. We weren't sure what was going to happen at the beginning and didn't know if we were going to need security or whatnot, how it was all going to turn out. But
therapy,
it actually worked out quite well. We found out that brokers and carriers actually do want to talk to each other, especially the certified non-scumbags, the ones that are actually doing things the right way, that want to work with each other and help each other out. And one thing that we found was that a lot of these small carriers, they're so dependent on load boards. They don't know the brokers they're working with. A lot of times they get taken advantage of, and they get a really sour taste in their mouth about what freight brokerage is all about. And likewise, some of these brokers, they don't know the carriers, and they don't know if the carriers are being honest when they say that their truck broke down or they got into traffic or why they're going to be late or why they don't answer the phone and those types of things. It's constantly talking down about the other party instead of talking with the other party. And so that's what the Broker Carrier Summit is all about. And for some reason, people keep coming back. So we're going to keep doing it. This is round number 5, and it keeps growing. We've grown by about 140 attendees each time. And so we're seeing a steady growth. And what's really cool about it is we're seeing carriers come back. We're seeing brokers come back. In fact, I had one carrier that I talked to in Fort Worth that said the reason he came back from the Kansas City edition is that his business became more profitable and more stable almost exclusively from the brokers that he met in Kansas City. And that's really what it's all about, is helping carriers grow, helping brokers grow, and to do business together and eliminate the fraud. I mean, if you have a meal with somebody and you shake their hand, you get to know their family, and then you give them a load, that load is serviced a lot differently than just somebody you've randomly met on the load board.
Not so transactional.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a relationship, and that's just trucking down to its nuts and bolts. Relationships drive trucking. It's pretty unique in that regard.
Yeah, we kind of joke that we're taking trucking back to the original way that it started, where you had, trucks in local areas meeting shippers or brokers in local areas and moving loads together. And this is in a way kind of doing that by bringing everybody together and actually meeting one another and talking about the lanes that they want to move and trying to do business together.
So how can someone maximize their time in Indianapolis at the Broker Carrier Summit?
Well, what we like to say to everybody is we're all about less presentation and more conversation. And so we just encourage people to get ready to talk a lot while they're at the summit. Talk to people you don't know, meet people you don't know. There's a lot of networking events that are specific for the mode of transportation that you're in. So if you're a flatbed carrier, for example, we have speed dating where you can meet flatbed brokers who have, open deck freight. Make sure you take advantage of that opportunity. We have our luncheon lanes on Wednesday and Thursday. We're at lunch. We give you 90 minutes to take your time. There's no rush to eat lunch quickly and get out of there. Take your time, meet as many people as you can in the flatbed room or in the reefer room or in the van room, whatever it is. We try to make our networking not only available for everybody, but also very efficient so that you actually talk to the people that you want to talk to. On top of that, all of our breakout sessions are much more conversational as opposed to just 4 people up on stage telling you what they think. So ask questions and have conversations and have great input. And again, most importantly, just be ready to talk a lot for about 3 days. Meet as many people as you can. Talk about the lanes that you want, talk about how you do business, talk about your family, what you care about while you're there, and meet partners who want to support you, who want to help you grow in your efforts, just like they want you to help them grow as well.
I'm starting to see why you brought cents per mile there. I love to talk.
I actually lost my voice by the end of the last one.
Well, true story. You were doing things right then. I think that's a mark that you were right on the right track.
He was doing them great. You know how great the ride back to the airport was when Paul didn't have a voice?
I can imagine so. But, there's a lot of cool things that are going on. There's some new things that we're doing this time around. Obviously, we do have free truck parking from our friends over at Truck Parking Club. We're going to be asking our registered brokers to submit loads that they have to Indy and from Indy that our registered carriers can try to find some freight to make sure that they're profitable to and from the summit. We're also going to be providing DOT roadside inspections so freight brokers can understand what a carrier goes through whenever there's a DOT inspection. We have Nick Klingensmith coming to speak as one of our keynote speakers. We've got several other pretty cool speakers in the industry. A lot of conferences go for the big name or the high name speaker to really draw the crowd in. We try to get people that are in the trenches to come up and speak on stage. We're going to be highlighting Truckers Against Trafficking again with Heather Fry. We're going to be highlighting our friends over at Reads Across America with Courtney George. And just doing a lot of cool things there to help hopefully partner, with organizations that we care about. We also
you got us talking.
We got you on there as well. We also we have the Women in Logistics Initiative now, so we're going to have a happy hour for them as well, and really promoting women in the space as well and their contributions. So it's exciting. And then of course we have our we're calling it the loaded and rolling party on Thursday night. It's going to be the big blowout party at the very end to get everybody out. And then Friday morning, you can grab some breakfast if you want on your way out. But there's no programming on Friday morning. It's just grab some breakfast, network a little bit more, get the heck out of there.
Oh, I see what you're doing there. You're trying to make it extremely memorable. Big party right before you shove everyone on a plane the next day. They're never going to forget the BCS.
Let me tell you, it's really cool. So we're in Indy, and I'm a big IndyCar fan, as some of you may know, and we're actually having the loaded and rolling party at the Dallara facility, the manufacturing facility where they make all the IndyCar chassis. In fact, there's going to be an IndyCar with the Broker Carrier Summit logos all over it. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be cool. There's going to be some opportunities to tour the track at IMS, and it's going to be May. That's May 1st, and as you guys know, May in Indianapolis is the best time to be there because the Indy 500 at the end of the month.
Sounds exciting. I'm looking forward to it, and thanks for giving our viewers some tips on how to maximize their time. You definitely got to check out the Broker Carrier Summit. We got to do it for the first time last year, and we're definitely going back. It's one of those things where it's not what you expect. One of the first things we noticed is there's no sponsors booths set up. That all the conversations are taking place between the presentations and the networking events. And it definitely invigorates an environment where people want to have those conversations. I talked to people that I didn't think I would need to talk to, and I walked out of there with a huge value proposition from having conversations. I never once went out and said, I want to talk to a broker. But here I was talking to brokers there, and it was a great time.
I mean, we've definitely talked to brokers before.
Moving on, the next conference is UCONNECT by Tenstreet. It's in Vegas. They moved it this year. Something about bringing the trucking industry at the same time as WWE WrestleMania in Vegas. Steel chairs, trucking probably didn't mesh well. So Tim, you moved it, which a little bit of FOMO because I always enjoyed the conference because it always fell on my birthday week. So this will be the first year I'm there and it's not my birthday. And now I have no excuse why I tell the wife I'm staying an extra couple of days.
It can be your honorary birthday, Charles. We'll get you a cake, right? We're really looking forward to it. It's just a few months away.
Yeah, that goes pretty fast when you're running these summits and putting together these events, bringing all these different parties to one place. Tell us a little bit about what you envision as someone maximizing their time at your conference.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a couple things. I mean, we try to make it really concrete and hands-on, and we introduce a lot of new tools and really encourage people to don't just let it sort of wash over you. Like we've all been to PowerPoint presentations where you just kind of watch it and it just in one ear, out the other. And then you go, hey, that was kind of neat. And 2 weeks later, you're like, well, what did I see? What did I do? So we bring a big chunk of our team so that folks that are there walk away with, oh, something turned on, something, a new way of doing things. Whether that's something that somebody's picking up from somebody on the Tenstreet team or whether they're interacting with some of their peers. And the feedback we get from folks is that peer networking, how to be better at your job is a big part of what folks get out of that. And better in their job in really concrete, tangible ways. And, I often have the experience sometimes when I go to these events that you end up like in a time vortex. You sort of look up and you think an hour has gone by and it's, 5:00 at night. And I think several of the other guys have mentioned that, get a plan, see, make sure you're going in with ideas of what you want to go do. I think it's exactly right. And I think it's also important that, especially in these multi-day events, take 10 minutes at the end of the day. Hey, what did I get done? What did I not get done? Hey, what do I want to take care of the next day, and try to make use of all that time. Because done right, all these events, you can come away with a ton of impact to your business, ton of impact to your career. And it's on you, the individual attendee, to really get the most mileage out of it.
Well, I think that's important because we've all seen the people that do it right and the people that do it wrong. You can go to any conference and easily pick the two groups of those out. Yeah, you get the people that are out till like 3, 4 in the morning, or they're rolling in from Denny's at the time the conference is starting. And they're not soaking in everything that's happening that day because they're tired. One of the biggest things that I've noticed, at least personally, when I go to the conferences is I want to be fresh the next day. I want to be able to enjoy it. I do want the networking events because the networking is one of those things that go hand in hand, whether they're planned or not. where you walk away maximizing your conference time, but you don't want it to be all of your conference time. A lot of times you see people that don't even go into the talks, and they're just out there walking the booths or out there talking to people, and they just miss out on all the content. And then they hear something cool and they're like, hey, can you send that to me? You want to sit there. And a lot of times the cool thing about the user conference, UCONNECT, that I found is the integration of your staff into the conference. When people are sitting down, there's staff at the lunch tables, there's staff walking around, there's account managers are there to address account concerns or optimizations throughout the conference. There's a lot of opportunity to mingle with the people on your team to customize the experience to what you're there to get.
Exactly. I mean, we're really lucky. I mean, we have a great team and love the folks that we have on our team. And we try to bring as many people as we possibly can, just exactly for what you're talking about. And, I'm happy to hear you say, hey, that you notice that and there's value there, because that's not an accident, right? It's totally part of the plan of how do you make the things we're doing have impact? And that personal connection is so key to that whole process. And looking forward to trying to do it bigger and better this year.
No, it was great. I remember I had talked to Emily Buck for years, never saw her in person. And then I heard the voice and I looked over and I'm expecting to look up. And then I looked down and I'm like, oh, I'm like, hey. And she's like, it's Emily. And I'm like, oh. Yeah. It's great when you get that face-to-face interaction and that energy. I think the only thing outside of having those face-to-face interactions is if I get to see driver Drew again this year, because that was awesome.
He might make an appearance. You never know. It's hard to tell.
He's got to be wearing the flannel and the trucker hat again. Like it's just nice how you guys incorporated the fun, the nuances, the relationship building, the networking. And I think it's really cool because not all the conferences have a staff that has that kind of energy where they can incorporate them not only into the front end of the content, but also into the back end, from as simple as sitting down, having lunch, and every table had a Tenstreet person there that was ready to have a conversation. I think there was a lot of intention behind that. And I think a lot of people need to know that what the intention was, which was to enhance your experience.
Exactly.
So where can people sign up?
Go to tenstreet.com. It's registrations are open through middle of April. So happy to have everybody there.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you. I know you're a busy guy. I appreciate you coming on and looking forward to all the great content here in April.
Yeah, thank you very much. Absolutely my pleasure.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a lot of good insight. And I realized the theme for making the most of being at a conference, the reoccurring theme from all of it with my neurodivergent pattern recognition, is talk to strangers. Like, go to these things and talk to strangers, and you'll have the best time, and you have a shot at your career blowing up.
Yeah, or find your own Paul like I did.
Yeah.
But we're out of time, and thank you for tuning in to Cents Per Mile. I'm your host, Charles Gracie.
And I'm your co-host, Paul Gibson. See you next time.